But what questions do you all have from the audience?
We have a couple minutes. Yes.
Hi, I'm Daniel with Towson University. As a CISO, can you dive in a little bit into what soft skills you needed to avoid being a scapegoat for issues that were out of control?
Daniel, that's why I have contractors. I put all the blame on them, buddy. No, so I hopefully pride myself a little bit on, I will stand with my people, right? So I expect them to do work, and I will stand behind my decisions. I'll move things forward, and I constantly challenge what's going on. For me as a CISO, it was developing really the relationships and asking a lot as to what do you need to do to be successful? And Fed moves very, very slow at times, but I would work hard to get them the tools they need, the training they need, the opportunities they need. And what I asked for in response was, if I make that happen, will you stick with me? Will you work through these problems? Right? We have, in some of the companies that I've worked with and for, they stayed a long time, and they just kept working out the problems. And they were happy to pick my brain about what I saw next. And they were excited for the idea that I would come to the table and say, what are you guys hearing? What are you seeing? And I would go to DEF CON and these other places and just be wowed by the things that are coming. But I wasn't the guy who brought back and said, I saw 10 new cool things, we're going to implement them in the law. I did not do that. But it's understanding the language. And for me, I need to be like a 1/4 inch deep on all topics and have a general understanding and be able to say that's a BS flag if I ever saw one, and be able to understand it and wave it. I am no longer deep in any subjects because of where I sit, but I know you all are deep, and you all are what keeps all of this going.
What other questions do we have? Yes, in the front.
What skills do you think help you the most to become a CISO, and how long did it take you? Because I know for some people it takes them like years, but I also know that other people literally started doing it after they graduated. So what skills do you think are most helpful, useful?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's kind of like, what skills are most helpful to reach CISO? So I'll say this in the beginning. CISO is a title. It's a great title to hold, but it's a title at the end of the day.
Tom, we couldn't hear. Can you have to repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I was repeating the question. So the question was, what skills do you need to kind of make it up to be a CISO? And so, I think you need the ability, skill-wise, is just kind of be well-rounded and have good communication skills. For me, the CISO opportunity fell in my lap, and so I took it. There was somebody that was retiring, and they were kind of recruiting, if you will, somebody into that slot. And so the opportunity presented itself, and I stepped into it. I had an interview, but that was more of a formality than than an open competition, if you will. So the skills, I think, at the end of the day, you have to decide if that's a position you want to hold, and if it is, then you're going to have to potentially move around companies to find out where you want to go. There are CISO positions open all over the place. It's just getting that 3 to 5 years experience and going in and doing it and having the confidence to say, I think I can do this job. So if a CISO title is what you're after, you have to fight for that title. You're gonna have to go find jobs, see what the requirements are, and go for it. In the meantime, just continue to build your own skill set, do the things we're talking about, network. But I would say making that your pinnacle to get to that role, I'm not sure. I think it's a worthy goal, but don't make that become an identity, right? I guess is the best way to say that, because it takes everybody's contribution, right? I could be the best CISO, or I can also fail as a CISO very quickly if something goes bad in my network, which I really have no control over at the end of the day, right? I'm empowering everybody else to do their jobs, and hopefully things go well. If I have a bad day, it could be a very bad day for me, because I'm the one that's ultimately holding the accountability flag. When many of you are not holding accountability, you're holding maybe a responsibility, a consultant role, or an individual contributor role.
We have time for one more question. I guess we got to fight it out. We're going to go to the back, if that's okay. Yes?
Hi, this is Jay from Loyola. I just wanted to ask how the space for small businesses and startups is in those contracts with the federal government. Like, I probably work with the big government contractors, but is there a space for the small businesses?
Okay, so questions about small business. What's your question, sir? I'll see if I can nail them both in here.
My question was, you emphasize a lot of soft skills and being able to translate that technical jargon into normal human speak. I was wondering if you had any sort of like tips or tricks to kind of help with that, or help with that process, being able to translate those like very hard technical things, especially if you just Googled it, and
Right.
you can actually like speak on it.
Okay.
I don't know if you can find it.
Yeah, no, I can find a way to merge them together. I'll be much more simple because I know we're just about out of time. So in the back there, so federal government has lots of opportunities. There's actually a whole program for small business, and we've got some great folks right here in the cybervet. .org, right? Cybervet.org. So I had an opportunity to actually launch cybervet.org, not really itself, but the original concepts for some of those ideas and thoughts. Myself and a couple other people got together, really wanted to offer this training to veterans. We ended up meeting these great folks that came in, delivered a fantastic program, and now it's actually spun off into its own small business, right? So they've seen the entire organic life cycle. I would definitely pick their brains on that. But if you go to Small Business Administration, SBA, you'll find there's just a ton of information for small businesses and how to get into it. And there's space specifically carved out for small business, women-owned, veteran-owned, on and on and on. HUD facilities, all those things. In regards to your question about how to make things simple, is I will kind of talk about my day a little bit, or things that I'm learning about with anybody that will listen that's not in cyber. So I'll be like, hey, this is my day. I had this kind of thing happen, and then if they glaze over, I realize I've lost them. If they ask questions, then I kind of go into it. But I start very simple, and I also like to use stories. And so especially when I'm talking to senior executives, I'll say, well, we had this event today. We think it's going to impact this particular program, right? I'm worried that it's going to potentially shut it down for a day or two, or I'm going to make a recommendation that we actually turn off the service for 24 hours to allow our people to check some things. And if everything goes well, we'll get it right back online. But if we don't, my concern is that this could spread to other programs, right? Well, how confident are you? Well, from what I'm seeing, I'm pretty high confident, and so if I make a recommendation to shut it down, I'm pretty confident. Okay, I'm going to go with your recommendation. You're the expert. Let's shut it down. Or they're going to say to me, yeah, there's no way you're shutting that down, right? And I go, well, okay. Can I mitigate it by doing something else? Now, I've probably come out with my plan A, B, and C before I sat down to have that conversation. But I'm really, unless they want to dive deep into the technology and what's happening with and who the actor is that's attacking us, I typically don't go there. But I'll relate it back to things people know. So if it is, hey, did you ever get friended by somebody on social media that you never knew, but looks really, really cool to get to know? Yeah, that might be somebody who's trying to get to know you for who knows what reasons. Right? Then they want to share things with you. Or is it weird that I just happened to walk by Lowe's and boop, like an ad pops up for Lowe's, right? How does that happen, right? And then people go, yeah, how does that happen? And then you sit down and try to explain things to them. So it's about having human-oriented conversations with people that are not part of your community, and just practicing it. That's my best advice. And there's some good books on it as well. I can recommend a couple, but I won't do that in a public setting.
Mr. Tom Schankweiler, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, great.